right. So in cloning, how do you clone the owners? How do you clone your best salespeople? And so you guys can stop me if you remember the story. So I'm in sales out of college, figure out how to get it. And then I try to clone myself. I can't do it. Try to clone the best salespeople. I can't do it. Do that for 4 years. Still can't figure out how to clone people. Then I go into Synergy and then, build architectural engineer company and developing bosses, coaching, executive coaching, all of that, build up the team. And then the clients want me to do the coaching rather than other people that are far better than me in specific areas to do it. And I'm just like, Mark, you got to figure out this cloning. You got to figure out how to clone. They don't train you that in business college. And I know lots of smart people, and none of them knew how to clone. So one day I go home. We call this the warm belly rub principle. This is important that you guys internalize this. And so I go home, and Rosanna, so we have 5 kids at the time, and Ginger Ann's the oldest one. And I don't know, she's 11 or 12. And Angela's the youngest one. And Rosanna says to me, she says, Mark, Angela needs her diaper changed. So my wife's a great delegator. I'm also a good delegator, though. And I said, Ginger Ann, change your sister's diaper. And so Ginger Ann was very competent. She was trained. She'd change, honestly, more diapers than I had. And so she knew how to do it. She was proficient at it. But then Angela started crying because she wanted mommy or daddy to change her diaper. And I remember thinking at the time, Mark, you are the worst leader in the world. You can't even delegate a diaper change. Like, you're just an idiot. You're so pathetic. I mean, I remember thinking that very thing. And so I said, then it hit me. I said, well, maybe your oldest daughter and your youngest daughter can teach you something that your 3 degrees in business never taught you. And you've never heard it. You've been trying this thing for, I don't know, 10 years to figure out cloning. Maybe you just pay attention to them. And so I go like, okay, Angela, lay down. Your sister's changing your diaper. Now, I had done that before too. Just, it's hard force versus soft force. So I just hard force. And Angela dutifully laid down and to change, have her diaper changed. But this time I watched. And what we weren't, Rosanna and I were not the best trainers, or maybe Ginger Ann wasn't the best student. I'm sure it was us, maybe both, some combination of both. So we trained her mechanically, but we didn't train her like the poor naked baby is, on a cold floor, not required to get the job done, but definitely required to create a raving fan experience, right? And then you got to tickle the baby. You got to make it fun, because if you don't, you got a messy diaper. This is not a good situation for anyone. Another side story, since we're on this, so Jason and Melissa, so my son-in-law and daughter, when they had their first one, man, did she have an explosion of a diaper. And Melissa said, honey, can you just take care of this to her husband? Because I can't handle this, or, whatever. She didn't want to do it. And her husband's like, sure. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So, I mean, this thing was an explosion. Like, it's crazy. And I just, boom, knocked that bad boy out. And I think I had one wipe. It was a 4-wipe diaper, but I'm, Dutch and very frugal. I cleaned this thing. And Jason, my son-in-law, started laughing. He said, Melissa, you said your dad didn't know how to change a diaper. The guy's a machine. Anyways, so we didn't go ahead and teach Ginger Ann the warm belly rubs. We didn't teach her how all the things that are required to create a raving fan. And it dawned on me, it hit me, and I'm like, that's what's happening in business. Same thing that happened in my home. We teach people mechanically how to do things, but we don't teach them the warm belly rub. So when we're looking at profitability of a company, we're looking at top line, bottom line. As the top line goes up, we want the bottom line to also go up in at least as equal percentage, if not more. That gets into some pretty funky stuff. But anyways, so we're talking about the sales side and how do you clone both of you? So this is Voices of Integrity, a podcast that we do with a couple of CPA clients of ours on the East Coast, and they're trying to clone themselves into their employees. And so their work ethic, and we did a podcast for them. And then we did dedication, and then a podcast, and then the next dimension principle, and then we did commitment. and then we're going to do leadership, and then we're going to do problem solving. Now, how do I say this nicely? Employees often don't listen to owners. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm sure all your employees do, but most of the time,
100%.
Yeah.
Never have not listened. Yeah.
Right. And then you get these, you know, really successful, just really smart, you know, unbelievably brilliant coaching companies, consulting companies that come in, and then the employees don't listen to them either. So you have a little bit of a quandary. Like the employees, they're not listening to anybody. So what do you do to solve that? You go ahead and get one of your salespeople that'll actually listen. And that's what I did when I started sales, because when I started sales, I advanced into, you know, marketing manager, which was overseeing all the sales too. I involved into the sales management, and I had far less experience than any of the people in sales. So I had far less experience, so they didn't listen to me. The experienced people didn't listen to me. So I've shared this before. So I just took brand new people. I had no experience in sales, no experience in the industry, put them through, trained them up. And then when they started kicking the ass of the experienced salespeople, then the experienced people listen to me. So, you know, so what we need is we only need one really coachable salesperson. We just need one. All we need is one. And then what we need to do is we need to go ahead and do a podcast, and we need to talk. What are the 5 most important things that you guys think is important in sales? So you guys come up with the topics, and then we meet with that individual and both of you and anybody else you want to meet with. And then we do a podcast with that individual. And then we do another one. And so what's the difference between a salesperson doing 1 million in sales and 2? It's how they think. It's all how they think. Everything is how they think. And so what we need to do is, so we work with the one that's most coachable, and we work with that individual, and then we start to go ahead and have the other salespeople. Then what you do, you guys have seen the Crazy Dancing Man video, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So you get the one crazy dancing man, the one person that actually listens to the owner. You mean what? I mean, I remember Dan Graham, the funniest thing. So he's, you know, one of the new salespeople, and he played professional football for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And one day, after 3 months of coaching and mentoring and getting him in sales, he comes into my office. He says, "What's next?" I said, "What do you mean, what's next?" He says, "What do I do next?" I'm like, "Well, what have you done?" And he said, "I've done this and this and this and this." And I said, I was impressed. I'm like, "Wow, you did everything I asked you to do." He's like, "Yep." I said, "Did it work?" He said, "Yep." I said, "It worked." Wow. Wow. I've never had it work before, because nobody ever did it before. And true enough, now he owns his own mortgage company, very successful, unbelievable, because he listened. You know why? In part because he was a professional football player, and he learned to listen. Like, your coaches may not be as good as you. They may not have played professional football, but you know what? They're there to coach. You got to listen to them. So we just need one person to go ahead and listen to you guys and come in and go through and do this and get that person. And then what will happen, they'll be the Crazy Dancing Man video, Crazy Dancing Man. And then 2 others will start to follow. Now, one other piece, and again, if Ginger Ann, if I'm going off track here, you know, get me on track. Jim and Alan, if you want something else other than this, just say, "Hey, Mark, we want something else." Are you guys familiar with genetic engineering of corn?
Yes.
Genetic engineering, what?
Of corn.
Of corn.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we want to do to your sales force.
In this case, with corn, is plugging in a revised gene to get a different looking outcome on the corn.
Yeah, so on corn, what they do is they find the gene that's just the right color that people like. They get the right taste. They get the right disease resistant. They get the right, you know, maturity, how to do. So they genetically engineer corn. And so essentially, what we do is we go ahead and find the best trait. So after we do this, it could be after, it could be before, it could be in between. You can mix it all together. But what you do is you find the best salesperson, or you find you find each salesperson and find the gift that they had. Some are good in cold calling, some are good in relationship. So you find something about them, and then we do a podcast on that. And so what you do is you genetically engineer, you clone that. So one person's good at here, and one person's here, one person there. So they're good at something. Even people who aren't good, they're good at something. So you find that, and then that starts genetically engineering people to start thinking. And so you bring that all together. In the tipping point, I believe it was in the tipping point with Malcolm Gladwell, they talked about, there was a story about steel mills, and they produced, 50 ton of steel, an hour or whatever it was. And that's just, everybody knew you could do 50 ton of steel an hour, whatever it was. Until somebody went ahead and did like 75 ton in an hour. Like, you can't do that. Like Roger Bannister, doctors, he's the first guy that broke the 4-minute mile. Doctors said it was physically impossible to break the 4-minute mile. So what happens is your salespeople, they'll go ahead and mentally they'll think I can do, $500,000 or $1 million or 1.5 million. So they get to that top and they think, well, this is all you can do. They start thinking like employees. So they start thinking, well, the only way I can make, twice as much sales, twice as much money is I've got to go ahead and work twice as many hours. And it's like, no, you just have to change the way you think. So what we do is we architect and engineer that for that. And then if you guys wanted to, you could share that with other people. You could share it with your designers, or you could share it with your architects or other people. You could share that with other people. And then now, not only are you doing it, having a system to build your sales force, but anybody who partners with you, works with you, that can be one added benefit where you can introduce them to that. Make sense?
Mhm. Yes,
Yes, it does.
yes.
So that's what the numbers are telling me. The numbers are crying out to me. They're saying, Mark, we're only 2.5. We can be 5. We need to be 5. I'm like, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. You can do 5 too. I believe in you. You believe in me. I believe in you. That's what I see when I see numbers.
Right. So now, just to put it, you probably already realized this, but just in reference to the sales staff, the same people, there's another annually, if you go the whole year, 2 million, 2+ million that they are selling in gourmet floors, that you're not seeing those numbers.
Yeah, and
But
yeah,
I realize
I'm just
even
looking,
even
right.
if these numbers were 5 million, the conversation would be we could be 10 million. It's not,
right.
not
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
I wanted to just make sure you were remembering that. And I'm
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
And the thing is, the
okay.
key is that as soon as people become complacent, they get bored, and that's when they leave the company.
Gotcha.
So if they're not stretched, then they get bored and they're like, well, I'm not happy. I could be making more money. I'm not happy. And so because they're not stretched, because they're not reaching for a bigger goal, they get bored, they get burned out. So an airplane was designed to fly. It will wear out faster on the ground than in the air. True salespeople, they're designed to just sell more and more and more and more. They're just like, how do I get more? That's what gives them fulfillment, is the constant challenge.
Right.
Neat.
I want to touch on something.
Yeah. Alan's turning off his phone.
Let me grab this installer. I'm sorry, he's on. I missed him. Okay.
All right. So we went over a lot of information in a very short period of time about cloning and the sales force. And this is just kind of the introduction of it. Sales is just, it's magical. I mean, it's absolutely magical. So if you're a salesperson, way to go. If you're a sales manager, if you're a company developing a sales force, talk to your Action Vision coach for sure. If you're not on Action Vision, get on Action Vision. I'm just saying, the tools and the systems are amazing on how it puts it all together. Very, very exciting, very powerful in what you're doing. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate. Talk to your Action Vision coach, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300. I'll talk to you at 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.